think there's a chance by the end of the season, or perhaps even sooner, that the Rangers could have 3 of the top 20 outfielders in Major League Baseball?
Top 20?
Top 20. And
Is
is
Adolis one right now?
Yes.
Yes. Well, he is.
Okay,
I just know he was top 10 at his position. But he's ranked high enough that, yeah, he'd probably be in the top 20.
So can I walk you through my logic of how we get there?
If you don't have Leote at a top 5, then what are we doing here, Kevin?
I don't.
I know that I don't need you to list the top 20. Do you have the top 10 outfielders in the game today?
So I can throw this out there as it was put together by Fox and see if you agree.
All right.
Ronald Acuna.
For sure.
Aaron Judge.
When healthy, for sure.
Juan Soto.
For sure.
Julio Rodriguez.
For sure.
Yordan Alvarez.
Yeah. Offensively, yeah. For sure.
He plays right field?
He plays left field. Because it's like 142 feet to hit a home run there. So it's like you can just play shortstop and be the left fielder there.
Corbin Carroll.
Yeah.
Fernando Tatis Jr.
Yes.
Kyle Tucker.
Yes.
Mike Trout.
Yes, when healthy, yes.
Luis Robert.
Last year, he
Yeah.
put himself in that category.
Okay.
For the first time in his career, he put himself in that category.
How much when you have this conversation, how much do you take in? Is the defensive part of it?
Well, when he said Yordan Alvarez, I think DH.
Okay.
But I do know they throw him out there in left field some.
Because a lot of those guys, they are sluggers. I don't know where they rank. I think Acuna is definitely a fantastic center
Most
fielder.
of the people he named besides Alvarez are good outfielders.
Okay.
And then Adolis. So Adolis at...
Bryce Soto's the second worst outfielder on that list, defensively.
Oh, I could see that. So Adolis at about 11, give or take. And if you want to say he's higher, I'm not arguing that whatsoever. Just the reason...
My quick answer is yes.
Okay. And that's why I like where we're going then.
But I kind of needed a list in my head to be
Does that make logical sense?
I think you made it. I thought you just had, without going through everything, I thought you had a great top 10 list. All of those guys, I would say, are for sure top 20 outfielders in the game.
So I'm going to throw out some more and see if this is where some of the moves start to get made. Michael Harris, the second with the Braves.
Yeah, he had a great second half, a really slow start, but he's rookie of the year. And then at the end of the year, his numbers were good. So I think Michael Harris and Evan Carter are very comparable.
Okay. Keep that in mind. Randy Arozarena.
Yeah, he's top 20. I think Randy and Adolis Garcia are very comparable.
Perfect. Brandon Nimmo.
I like him. I don't love him.
So maybe not. Okay. And
so I think we could have all 3 of those guys could be better than him.
Okay. My third guy, though, is, of course, Wyatt Langford. Because what I wanted to throw out for you guys is that on Fox's projections for 2024, it goes into a whole ton of regular and advanced statistics. They project Adolis Garcia to be the 11th best outfielder in baseball this year.
Fair.
They project Evan Carter to be the 18th best outfielder in baseball this season, just ahead of Chas McCormick and James Outman with the Dodgers.
I think he's going to beat out those guys pretty easily.
Okay. And they have him right behind Nolan Jones with the Rockies and Brian Reynolds with the Pirates.
I'm optimistic he'll be better than those guys too.
Okay. And since you said that, though, but you feel good that Adolis Garcia, if logic plays out, he should be a top 20 outfielder. Yes. Okay.
Yes. I'll figure out my microphone today,
0 for 2, man.
Yeah.
0 for 2.
And we feel good about the possibility of Evan Carter being a top 20.
Yes, I think
outfielder
that somewhere between, I'm hoping he can push towards top 10, but I think 15 to 20 is very realistic. The dude last year batted 300 in the playoffs.
Uh-huh.
So I'm just wondering, when he gets to face Oakland, and nothing against these pitching staffs, but start naming some of the he's never faced these guys. He only had to face the playoff teams.
Yeah.
So how is he going to do through a whole season? He would go through slumps in AA because I was following him closely. He's dude, what's happening? And he would get hurt a lot. So not major injuries except for his first year in pro ball, but it's he will probably go on the injured list at least once this year. For some reason, his body, now maybe it's just because it's so young and it's not a very physical body, maybe it'll get better over time and he won't deal with, a couple of IL stints where his body just needs 2 weeks off.
I guess my thing is, you named a bunch of dudes who crush.
Yeah.
And if he's hitting 310 and has 10 home runs, listen, this is a worst case scenario.
Would have 80 walks and his OPS would be close to 400.
But nobody cares about walks.
But I think they care about on base percentage and then OPS.
Yeah. And maybe that's the case. Maybe that is it. But
and if he has 50 doubles, right? All of a sudden, Freddie Freeman, I know he hits more than 10 home runs, but Freddie Freeman is the double machine at first. So for his kind of lack of power at first, he makes up for it by hitting 50 doubles a year.
And then the other thing, too, is sharing position with three guys. Or him, Leote, and Wyatt. Based on what Mike kind of laid the plan he laid out the other day is there's going to be a lot of mix and match on this, but it sounds like Evan Carter, you're going to try and have him in the lineup every day. It does sound like you're going to try and have him there every day.
And just like Alvarez, as long as you get some outfield time, then that theoretically qualifies.
I feel like when I was out there and now here late in spring training, Evan Carter is playing more and more center field. So I do think there's a possibility as this season progresses that Leote becomes your fourth outfielder.
Is he? Did you notice, just based on what you noticed, and man, just looking at, so Wyatt Langford leads the major leagues in RBIs right now?
Let's talk about that, because then that brings forth, if you think it makes sense for Adolis and you think it makes sense for Evan Carter, do you think it makes sense for Wyatt Langford to be one of the top 20 outfielders in all of baseball this year?
I'll make this prediction. He's going to finish in the top 10 in MVP voting.
Wow!
I'm not saying he's winning the MVP.
That would still be amazing.
I think that he is going to finish somewhere between 5th and 10th in MVP voting this year, Wyatt Langford.
Now, to go along with this, Corey, you just brought it up. Wyatt Langford, who it feels like is the talk of baseball right now. Not Metroplex baseball, national baseball. He leads the league in spring training RBIs with 19 in 17 games. He also leads the majors in OPS, and he has the most home runs in the Cactus League. And then Jared put out this stat yesterday. Here's the list of guys that have hit 6 home runs or more in their age 22 or younger spring training season.
All right.
Freddie Freeman.
He's good.
Ryan Zimmerman.
He had a good time.
He was a good player. Yep. I played with him out of Virginia, college guy, quickly made it to the major leagues and was a very good player. He's the Michael Young of the Washington Nationals.
Okay. Wyatt Langford.
I've heard of him.
Sure. Addison Russell.
He went Chicago, Oakland, if I remember him, and flamed out quickly.
Justin Upton.
All right.
Number 1 overall pick. I thought facing him in 2007, I thought he was the next superstar of baseball.
And Mike Trout.
And he ended up being the next superstar.
You did that on purpose.
Of course.
You saved Mike Trout for last.
Of course I did.
Like,
that is a fair critique.
You don't finish with the teeth.
But the point is there's 6 people on the list.
Yeah.
You take out Wyatt Langford and just examine the other 5. And you have people like Russell and Upton who did not achieve the heights that maybe a lot of us thought they would. But the other ones are Washington, Michael Young, and Ryan Zimmerman, and then Freddie Freeman and Mike Trout, who I feel like a lot of people would argue for a while have been 2 of the best players in the game. And Wyatt Langford is in that group. And so of the rest of them, 2 amazing, 2 disappointing, and 1 very good. Where does Wyatt Langford fall on this? Because if he's very good to amazing, it's not hard to think that he is a top 20 outfielder this year.
I'm going to have him as a top 10 outfielder at the end of this season.
And so think about that then, because that answers my question.
I know I'm crazy. I'm not telling you that I'm basing this on a lot of facts, but all I can tell you is I've watched him. I'm listening to other people that are watching him that are former players, and this is... Everybody's like, he looks like the next superstar of baseball.
You can understand, Mike, why I am scarred by being told that Gallo and Profar were going to be.
What about DVD, though?
Okay.
No, that
you
is
can
the
understand.
same thing.
What about
also disappointing?
Ruben Mateo.
Also disappointing.
The only difference is the people that told me that then didn't know anything about baseball, and last year had no clue who Evan Carter was. You're telling me, I trust your baseball knowledge.
So you're telling me?
I knew you
So
were
you're
gonna do
telling
that.
me
I knew you
that
were gonna do
Wyatt
this.
Langford, you're telling me that Wyatt Langford, not only is Evan Carter going to be a top 20 guy because he's going to be doing all this stuff, but you're telling me without him ever stepping foot on a baseball field in the pros other than spring training, that you feel like the people that have told you this are not just blowing smoke up your butt.
Right.
Okay.
I'll tell you what I think. Since I asked during Baseball Nuggets, I'm going to tell you what I have his numbers in my head as. 32 home runs, 110 RBIs, 105 runs scored, a 280 batting average with a 910 OPS.
That's an amazing season for any player.
And that's a top 10 outfielder.
That's a top 10 outfielder, and that is MVP consideration. I don't think he'll win it. I think there'll be other players with better seasons, not many. Maybe even his teammate. Hopefully Corey Seager has a better season than that. But I do think we have the making of a superstar. This is tough to say, but we have, whether you like Micah Parsons or not, I know there's been a regression in his likability.
Sure.
He's a super stud. He's a top 5 defensive player in football. Luka Doncic is a top 5 player, obviously because of his offense in the NBA.
Yeah.
I do think we're about to have, for the next decade or so, we're about to have arguably the best player in baseball.
Okay, and then think about that for a second. And if he starts off this hot, my contention at the beginning of the segment was, could the Rangers, by the end of the season, if not sooner, have 3 of the top 20 outfielders in baseball? I know that's a big thing to ask, but that sounds like that's a yes from you.
Yes, I think offensively, I said this on Monday. I got to talk to some Ranger fans. It was really fun. And I said that this offense, we just had on Dean Palmer yesterday, and Dean was talking about how unbelievably fun it was to be in that offense.
That was a cool part of that interview.
I think we have this offense again, and nobody's going anywhere. Simeon's going nowhere. Seager's going nowhere. Langford's going nowhere. Adolis has at least 2 years left. He's the closest one to being gone. Evan Carter's going nowhere. Young is going nowhere for 5 more years. Heim has 3 years left, I believe. First base is Nate Lowe for now, and he's not going anywhere. So if he comes back healthy and has a good year, he's not going anywhere. And then do you put in that other spot, do you put Leote there? Do you put Justin Foscue? Do you put, I don't know. But that person's probably not going anywhere either, and that's your number 9 hole hitter. Like this lineup, which is constructed to get 5 or more runs per game, has no free agents anytime soon.
So, Corey, you've heard all this. 3 top 20 outfielders. Yay or nay?
I want to go on record with this before I get to my joke. I say top 30.
Okay.
And I still feel that's really good. But having 3 in the top 30 is phenomenal. And then from the 817, if that happens, I'll definitely have to have some Kellogg's.
Well done.
Am I optimistic, Mike? Like, I'm not usually this.
No, you're not. You are extreme,
I'm telling
Mike.
you, I have seen something like I've never seen before. I did not see Mike Trout in 2010 or 2009 in spring training. I did see him. Obviously, I bought a whole bunch of rookie cards that I ended up not having anymore. I bought a whole bunch of his rookie cards before he blew up because I said, this looks like something different. I'm not telling you I'm perfect at this. I've been wrong at this in baseball before. I remember seeing Justin Verlander's first ever start in 2006 against the Rangers because I was released out of spring training and I was sitting at home depressed, and I saw this young dude named Justin Verlander pitch, and I'm like, that's the next greatest pitcher I've ever seen, and he ended up being that. So I'm telling you, Wyatt Langford, I might not be perfect on this. I'm telling you, this dude, and I don't know how much they're going to allow him to run. I think he has a chance for 30 stolen bases. I don't think the Rangers are going to run him that much. I think he has a chance to hit 40 home runs this year. Do I think he's going to do it? I wouldn't bet on that, but if you made the number 30, I would bet on that.